a case-control study on the effects of individual health-seeking behavior on participation in mass treatment for schistosomiasis in an endemic barangay in Western Samar.
Health is traditionally defined as the absence of any disease or disability. This definition has been reinforced with the advent of science and technology through medicine. Medical technology has provided solutions to most of men's health problems. Cure for diseases were discovered, means to strengthen immunity and prolong one's life were also found. Yet, with these discoveries and inventions comes the assumption that the mere presence and creation of such technology is enough to improve the quality of life. We forget that the access, distribution, and acceptance of such treatments are as important as the treatment itself. That is, other factors that define the economic, political, and social situation should also be brought into the picture. After all, these are the very things that affect or influence an individual's access to, as well as attitudes and perceptions towards certain health services. We all know very well that these factors may differ between groups as well as between individuals, and thus, opportunities to avail of these services also differ. With that in mind, it is not surprising to know that the state of health is different between people and places no matter how advanced medical technology has become. According to the World Health Organization, neglected diseases are hidden diseases that mostly affect exclusively and extremely poor populations living in remote areas beyond the reach of health service. Although these neglected diseases have low mortality, they cause severe and permanent disabilities and deformities, reaching up to 1 billion people all over the world. It also yields more than 20 million of disability adjusted life years or DALYs, as well as important socio-economic losses. DALY is a measure of overall disease burden wherein mortality and morbidity is combined into one common metric. One DALY, therefore, is equal to 1 year of healthy life lost. Furthermore, these neglected diseases occur almost exclusively in poor developing countries, thus offering negligible profitable losses. Consequently, they are given low priority. One of these neglected diseases is schistosomiasis, earning a second ranking as most prevalent after malaria and remains to be a leading cause of morbidity in many parts of the world.
Schistosomiasis is a debilitating chronic disease caused by Schistosoma japonicum, a blood fluke common in the Philippines. It usually infects the lower socioeconomic class and the poor marginalized sector of the society, which includes farmers and fishermen, people living nearby swamps, lakes or rivers, and residents without sanitation facilities and access to potable drinking water. A total of 24 provinces were categorized as endemic areas in the Philippines with high risk of schistosomiasis infection. Samar apparently is in the top 10 of this list. In Samar specifically, the Samar Integrated Rural Development Project or SIRDP was implemented in its provinces in 1980 to 1987. Primarily, this project's thrust was towards prevalence survey and treatment, snail control activities, and health education. In 1990 to 1993, this project was followed by an implementation of detailed schistosomiasis control teams to endemic rural health units spearheaded by the Philippine Health Development Project or PHDP. Finally, a four-pronged approach, case finding and treatment, snail control and surveillance, environmental sanitation and health education, and promotion defined the strategies for the schistosomiasis program then. Even with these strategies, there still have been continuous efforts to find other more efficient means to address the problem of schistosomiasis within the country. 9 years ago, the Department of Health considered mass chemotherapy to control morbidity of schistosomiasis. In ending up with this type of intervention, they looked into two rationalities. First is that it was found out that in the Philippines, exposed populations needed to undergo treatment once a year. Because of this, there was a need to find the most efficient and cost-effective way of treating the disease. And this was observed, which is why they considered mass chemotherapy in the mass treatment using praziquantel in endemic areas of China. In line with this, the Department of Health has issued the Administrative Order Number 2009-0013, which declared July as Mass Treatment as Schistosomiasis Month for schisto-endemic areas. The objectives of this are to control morbidity, to create awareness of the disease and the necessity of the yearly treatment, and to accomplish 85% coverage rate. The mass treatment in general was administered to residents 5 years old and above of barangays with prevalence rates of more than or equal to 15%. It was also given exclusively to children residing in barangays that reached the elimination level of 1 over 100,000 prevalence. In 2004, schistosomiasis transmission ecology in the Philippines, or STEP, analyzed secondary data aimed to measure the effect of irrigation infection with schistosomiasis. Basically, the study consisted of the mass treatment of all residents of the 50 participating barangays, which includes both STEP and non-STEP participants. In addition to this, it compared the 1 year risk of reinfection in irrigated and rain-fed barangays. All in all, out of the whole population aged 5 years old and above, in all 50 barangays, only 48.7% or 14,678 people agreed to be treated, and 8.6% of that 48.7% were considered ineligible for the treatment, and 92.2% of those have no reasons for ineligibility. Most of those excluded were either lactating or pregnant. It was found out that the coverage was only 44.4%. The study also provided some factors that determined a person's participation. These are age, gender, and knowledge of infection status. It was found out that the school-age children have a high participation due to the fact that the treatment was held in schools. It was also projected that men are more likely to participate than women, who were specifically in their reproductive years. However, due to the overall low participation, this comparison was overshadowed. Also, the knowledge of positive infection was observed to be the reason of participation. This was observed in the relatively high participation of participants who were tested negative of the disease. However, it was also observed that step participation reduced mass participation to 41%. The explanation given to this in the study was that these participants felt that the knowledge they got for being a step participant made them less vulnerable to the disease. All in all, the resulting far low participation than the desired to the treatment obviously indicate that there is a need for a much more fundamental and applied behavioral and social science studies in understanding the population.
With all that has been said, the general objective of this study is to determine the factors that affect health-seeking behavior for participation in mass treatment for schistosomiasis. Based on Anderson's model, health-seeking behavior is a function of three sets of factors: predisposing factors, enabling factors, and need factors. This thesis seeks to identify and evaluate the following factors of the exposed individuals and population.
With the advent of primary healthcare in the 1970s, there has been a shift of attention to human behavioral factors in quality healthcare provision. In endemic provinces of schistosomiasis, even though the treatment is available to the population, not everyone avails of it. Therefore, there is a need for health systems to be sensitive and flexible in their strategies, taking into account the findings from behavioral studies. The social behavioral or Anderson model categorizes in a logical sequence three groups of factors, namely predisposing factors, enabling factors, and need factors, all of which can influence health seeking behavior. This model was particularly designed to study the use of biomedical health services and assess the selection of treatment, which includes both material and structural factors commonly ignored in the social psychology models. It has also been designed in order to collect evidence and data on the weight of different factors for health service use. This shows that the model seeks to understand the dynamics and functioning of a health service and why people choose to use or not use it.
Predisposing factors are aspects that are present even before the actual health-seeking behavior but may affect the said behavior. Under this, we have identified three specific factors. Knowledge and awareness of people of the disease and mass treatment will be measured by asking open-ended or unprompted questions, as patterned from one of Stancom Research and Planning's studies. Respondents will be asked to identify 5 modifiable risk factors out of a list of 10 in order to gauge their level of knowledge and awareness. Demographics refer to age, which will be measured in years, sex classified as male or female, and civil status classified into 6 as set by the National Statistical Coordination Board. Lastly, culture will be assessed in 5 different aspects, namely ethnicity, practices, beliefs, religion, and language. These will be measured through a survey pattern from Canada's Ethnic Diversity Survey and the Knowledge, Attitudes, and Practices or CAP survey.
Enabling factors determine the ability of an individual to secure the necessary health services. Under this, we have identified six specific aspects.